All right, welcome back everyone. Today we are going to be working on 8-6B. So we are factoring just like we did yesterday. So reminder, yesterday we added in this A here. Ooh, we added in this A here. There we go. And it caused a lot more, I want to say, steps and a little bit more work to add up to our middle number. Because reminder, we have to think about factors of our A and factors of our C, and they have to add up to this B. So now there's a little bit more work, and our check is a lot more important. Okay? All right. So let's take a review. This is what we did yesterday. So reminder, yesterday, again, I threw in that A, so it makes it a little bit trickier. And then yesterday, it was kind of our nice easy day, because if we look at our signs, I see that I have this plus plus, so that tells us we're really going to have our plus here and our plus here. Okay? And reminder, all what we're really asking ourselves are what are the numbers we have to fill in here. We do remember that the only way to get to x squared is by taking x times x. So really we're filling in this, okay? And so this is what made yesterday difficult. I have to look at all the ways to multiply to 8. So 8, I've got 1 and 8, and I've got 2 and 4. Okay? 12 has a little bit more. I've got 1 and 12. I've got 2 and 6. And I've got 3 and 4. And reminder, you can find all this on your purple or your white sheet. Okay? So now reminder, I'm trying to multiply these factors of 8 and these factors of 12, and we're trying to get to 35. Now this is where it's really important that we use our noggins. I really should not take this 8 and I shouldn't multiply this to the 12 or to the 6. Those numbers are just way too large. But if I multiply this 8 to this 4 here, well, that gives me 32. That gets me really close to this 35 that I have to get to. So let's see, if I multiply this 1 to this 3, I get 3, and if I add those together, I get 35. So reminder, this is where we're really doing a guess and check, and you're trying to see what works to add up to that middle number. All right, the other dilemma we had from yesterday is how to properly put this in then. So we use this 1 and this 8 here. So I know those have to go down into here, because the only way to get to 8x squared is if I take this 1x times 8x, and that gives me 8x squared. Now the next thing I want to do is I want to look at this arrow here. I multiplied this 8 here to this 4. So that means I'm going to put the 4 here, because when I FOIL 4 times 8, that's going to give me that 32. And we multiplied the 1 to the 3, so I have to go back here. Okay. We now are going to FOIL, so we're going to do our first outside-inside lesson. And reminder, as I said, it's super important that we're actually checking, because our answers are going to be more intense than it was last week. All right, so I'm multiplying it here. I'm going to have 8x squared. Multiplying it here, I'm getting positive 3x. I'm multiplying it here, I'm getting 32x. And I'm multiplying it here, and we're getting 12. I see my front and my back terms are what we wanted it to, and when I add up these, I'm getting 35x. So this was a good factor that we did. Okay? So that's what we did yesterday. Yesterday we did the plus plus. Today we're going to bring back something from last week. Okay, I'm going to scroll. Reminder, since this is on a video, take your time. You can pause as you need to. All right, so today our problems are going to look like this. We talked about this last week. If I have a positive here and yet a negative here, reminder, what I need to have is I need to have a negative times a negative. Okay? Reminder, a negative times a negative is a positive. All right, so now we're going to do everything that we did yesterday and our previous problem, but instead I'm going to have a minus minus. Okay? Again, I'm going to have an x and an x, and we're just filling in these blanks here. But instead of plus plus, we're going to have minus minus. So now I'm looking at my list here. I notice I have 2, so the only way to get to 2 is 1 and 2. The only way to get to 3 is 1 and 3. I'm trying to get to 7, so it really makes sense that I'd probably multiply this 2 to a number that would get me really close to 7. So if I multiply this 2 to this 3, I'm going to get 6. And if I multiply this 1 to this 1, I'm going to get 1. And when I add those together, Yep, I get 7. So I use these two numbers here, so I know they'll have to go here. Then I'm going to have 1x and 2x. And if we remember, we multiplied this 2 to this 3, so that means the 3 is going to have to go here. If you want to do a quick double check, yep, when I FOIL, that will give me that 6 there. And then we multiply it also by 1, so the 1 will go here. Like always, we are going to check. So I'm checking, I'm taking my 1 times 2, so I'm getting 2x squared. I'm multiplying the 1 to the negative 1, so I have negative 1x. Notice everything's negative now. I have negative 3 times positive 2. That's going to give me negative 6x. And then I have negative 3 times negative 1, which gives me positive 3. My front number and my back number are exactly what I wanted. When I add negative 1 and negative 6, I'm going to get negative 7. So as you guys can see, it's very similar to what we did yesterday. The only difference is instead of minus minus, I've got plus plus. Okay. All right, let's do this next one. All right, so again, I notice I have the negative positive thing, so I'm right away going to go to negative negative. I see I've got x's, so I'm going to go x and x. And we're filling in these blanks. All right, only way to get to 3, I have 1 and 3. 8's a little bit more intense. I'm going to have 1 and 8. And I'm going to have 2 and 4. Okay. Again, we have to use our common sense here. I'm trying to add up to 14. So if I multiplied this 3 to this 8, well, that would give me 24. That's way too large. But there is a number, when I multiply 3 to it, it gets me really close to 14. So if I multiplied 3 to 4, that gets me 12. If I multiply 1 times 2, that's going to give me 2. And when I add those together, yep, I get 14. So now again, we have to put them in the proper order. The only way to multiply to that 3x squared was that 1 and that 3. So I'm going to put the 1 and the 3. We multiplied the 3 to the 4, so I'm going to put the 4 here. And we multiplied the 1 to the 2, so the 2 is going to go here. We're going to FOIL to make sure we are right. I'm multiplying these two together. I'm getting 3x squared. I'm multiplying these two together. I'm going to have negative 2x. I'm multiplying these two together. Negative 12x. I'm multiplying this negative times a negative, which is giving us positive. Our fronts and our backs are exactly what we wanted. And these two, negative 2x and negative 12x, is giving us negative 14x. All right, so this is essentially what we're doing today. I got 2 more problems. We'll do those together real quick, and then we are done. All right, here we go, our next 2. All right, so 12. Oh, boy, these both end in 12. 12 is a little bit intense. So 12, I'm going to have 1 and 12. I have 2 and 6. I have 3 and 4. And since they're both 12, I can just slide this over, that they have the same thing. I'm looking at my signs. I know I'm going to have negative and negative. Oop, I didn't give myself enough space. Whoops. I'm going to have negative and negative. And we're filling in our spots here. If you want to put in that x right away, that'd be a great idea too. All right, so I know I have to get to 25. I really don't want to multiply the 12 to the 12 because that's 144. That's nowhere near. So I'm actually going to, since I have to get to 25, I'm actually going to start the opposite. And I would recommend you guys, when you see you have a smaller number here, then start at your smaller numbers. And I'm going to start down here and see if there's a combination that I could do. Let's see here. Well, if I do 4 times 3, that's 12, and I have another 4 times 3, that's 12, which is 24. So, ooh, that's really close. So that tells me maybe I should work with these two a little bit more. So let's take a look here. If I took 4 times 4, that gets me 16. And if I take 3 times 3, that gives me 9. And when I take 16 plus 9, I'm going to get 25. All right, so we took these two, the 3 and the 4. So I'm going to fill that in down here, that I have 3 and I have 4. And if we remember, I multiplied the 4 to the other 4. So I have to put a 4 here and then the 3 here. And again, I'm going to do a quick check. I have 3x times 4x. That's going to give me 12x squared. I have 3x times negative 3, which is negative 9x. I have negative 4 times 4, that's negative 16x. And I have negative 4 times negative 3, which is positive 12. My front and my back, great. My middle stuff here, when I take negative 9 minus 16, yep, that's giving us negative 25. That's exactly what we wanted. That looks great. All right, again, just like yesterday, make sure you're writing out all your work. You'll probably get it right if you can actually read all your steps and see what works and what doesn't work. All right, here we go. Our last one here. I've got 1 and 6. I've got 2 and 3. And 5, luckily, the only way to get to 5 is 1 and 5. Again, our signs. I know I'm going to have negative, negative. And again, we're just filling in these blanks. You can put the x right away because you know that's coming along. So we know I'm trying to get to negative 13 here. If I multiply the 6 to the 5, that gives me 30. So that's way too big. Okay. And if I multiply the 6 to the 1 and the 5 to 1, well, that gets me 11. So I'm actually going to cross off this 1 and the 6. I don't think it's going to work out for us. If I look here, well, 3 times 5, that's 15. That's pretty close. So let's try the other way. If I multiply 2 times 5, that gives me 10. And the 1 times 3 gives me 3, which, there we go, gives me 13. So we use the 2 and the 3, so that will have to go here. I multiply the 2 to the 5, so that will have to go here. And we multiplied the 3 to the 1. So now I'm going to check. So I'm going to take 2x times 3x, so I'm going to get 2. No, I'm not. I'm going to get 6x squared. I'm going to multiply the 2 to the 5. I'm going to get negative 10x. I'm going to multiply these here. I'm going to get negative 3x. And I'm going to multiply my last, and I'm going to get positive 5. The front and the back is exactly what we want. And this middle stuff is adding to negative 13x. All right, so that is what you're going to have to do today. Now, we will have some review from our problems from yesterday. So, whoop, oh, it's still going. So, here is our rule so far. So this is what we had yesterday. When you have positive, positive, that means you're going to have a plus and a plus. And reminder, you are filling in these blanks. Today we had this. So when our B is negative but our C is positive, that means we are going to have a positive and we're going to have a negative. What do you think we're going to have tomorrow? All right, please go through your notes, make sure they help you out, and I will see you tomorrow. Good luck.